Hello, hello, hello. Dana Wilde here, and welcome to the show. It's so good to see you today. I can't wait to talk about today's subject because I think I've done like 500 shows now, and I think this is the first time this question has ever come up. But I will venture to bet that there are some of you who really are experiencing this. So here's the case. Let me just read what came in. We had somebody write into us and she said, Dana, I hear on your show when people write in because their partners don't support them, but I have the opposite problem. My husband supports me 100% and I feel like I'm letting him down. Can you help? Wow, right? Of course. And I had this come up one time with a private client, and so I understand this one. And I'll tell you, it's a little bit of a trap and it can be a little bit of a challenge because what happens is you start to train your brain for failure with that message. So what do I mean by that? Let me tell you what happened to this private client of mine, and then you'll be able to kind of make the jump and see how this applies to this situation as well. So I was working with this woman and she had started this story in the back of her head. Like, my husband is so good. He's so good. He's doing, so much. He's doing so much and he's carrying all the weight and I'm not carrying my weight. And he's so good and I appreciate him so much. And he's just the best how much he's supporting me. But I have still not produced yet, right? So what happens is you see where the but is, right? Remember, we all remember the word but is one of those power words in the English language. You have to use it very appropriately. The word but negates everything that comes before it. So when you say he supports me, but I'm not carrying my weight, the brain only hears what comes after the but. So this is why with Train Your Brain, we learn how to use that but appropriately. You can use it to negate, something else too. I'm not getting any clients, but I feel a shift now and more are coming in, right? So your brain only hears that second part. So back to the situation. Here we've got a woman who is in what she thinks is appreciation. She feels and thinks and believes like she's feeling, I'm appreciating my husband. But it's appreciation that turns into a negative mantra because it's about he's so good, I'm not. He's supporting me, I'm not living up to it. He's doing all this stuff and I feel bad because I'm not growing faster. I'm not doing anything. I mean, yuck, I can't even say that without feeling terrible. Don't you just feel terrible when you hear that? Oh, it just is like, I feel like I need to take a shower now just to shake it off. It's awful. So what do? How do we appreciate those around us and still affirm what we're doing? Well, you might be surprised to find out, train your brain, right? Because here's the thing, train your brain is not that complex. There are 4 steps to it. Step 1, be aware. This is the wake up step. Bust yourself, catch that talk. And so this is what's happening with the woman who wrote in with this private client of mine. You get this idea like, oh my gosh, I just woke up. I'm sitting here affirming that I'm feeling bad all the time. It's no wonder my business isn't growing. So step 2, decide. What are you deciding? You've got a reticular activating system in your brain that is a little matchmaker that's matching up everything you're thinking about and everything you're talking about. So you have to decide, do you want to keep matching that up? If the answer is no, then step 3, this is where all the quote unquote work is, because you must learn to talk about the current situation in a way that feels good. You must talk about the current situation in a way that feels good. This is the instilling new programming, changing the story. That's step 3. Step 4 is feel that positive emotion that you generate. So, step 3, let's talk about this. What should we do in this situation? How can we talk about this situation in a way that feels good? Well, okay, let's do it. Let's start from the beginning. All right, here I am, and I'm in this situation where my husband is supporting me and I feel guilty and I feel bad and I feel like I'm letting him down. And I don't like that feeling, but Dana's right and I should change that story. I should shift it And I don't want to should on myself, so I'm going to use different verbiage. And I'm going to say, I want to shift it. I choose to. I like the idea. I really like the idea of feeling differently about this. I like the idea of being so aware. I'm going to give myself a pat on the back about waking up about this. It feels so good that I caught it. And then I recognize that it's a feel bad, and I know that it would be the very last thing in the world that my husband would want would be for me to be feeling bad about this or guilty or like I'm letting him down. Oh, that would make him feel horrible. So I know that this is all about me, and I'm going to take responsibility for it right now, and I'm going to shift it, and I'm ready to do that. I'm ready to think in my head, and I'm ready to think one thought at a time. And I like the idea of thinking one thought at a time, and I know that I can focus my brain, and I can start to find those words that work for me, and I can start to feel better in any given moment just by focusing on words that feel good. And so I'm going to start in the true appreciation that I have. I think it's really cool that my husband is supporting me in this way. It feels so good to have my partner's support. It feels so good that he sees something in me and believes in me and is trusting in me. And I like the idea that he's got positive expectation because it helps me to build my positive expectation. And his belief in me helps me to build my belief in me. And I know that I'm a good bet. I know if I look back on my life that I have a history of things that I've done well. I have a history of things that I've learned. I have a history of things that I didn't know how to do and that I figured out. And I'll figure this out too. I'm a good learner and I'm good at figuring things out and I'm good at eventually getting where I need to go. And I can see already that I'm on the path and I'm moving in that direction. And I can see that the more I focus on the successes I'm having and moving in that direction, the better it is. And I like the idea of sharing those. And I like the idea of talking about those. And I like the idea of writing them down every day. And I feel like my reward right now for all of his support is to let him know how well I'm doing and to talk with him about the good things that are happening and how it's moving in the right direction. And I know that I can feel good about this just in my own mind, just focusing on my own thoughts and my own appreciation for this and trusting that it's coming in and creating a vision, almost like I like this vision of thinking one day of a conversation I can have with him and being able to sit down and say to him, you know what? Your bet paid off. And guess what happened today? And I love filling in the blank with that story. And I'm going to say it again because it felt so good to say it the first time. You know what? Your bet paid off. And here's what happened today. Guess what happened? And I can see how excited he'll be. And it's so funny because I can use his support almost as a leaping pad for my new vision and a leaping pad for feeling positive and for knowing like this is what the future holds and this is the direction I'm headed. It feels so good to have that positive expectation and know that part of the reason I have that positive expectation is because he's almost like the diving board that I'm leaping off of to get there. It's so fun and it's so exciting. And I'm totally doing that. I'm totally going to say the more appreciation I feel for him, the faster my business grows. The more I focus on how awesome he is and how the bet paid off, the more my business grows. The more I think about all of the things that we're building together, the more it feels like we're a team and that I'm not in this alone and that this is going to happen. He's totally got my back and I can feel it because I feel elevated every single day and I'm moving more and more toward my goals every single day. Okay, so that was a lot to take in, right? However, I want to come back and I want to address something that's really important in all of that mucky muck. And here's the thing. Poke around and find the words that work for you. So feel around and find the words because step 3 is all about feeling the words that feel good for you. And step 4 is feeling that positive emotion. So create that positive vision. However, having said that, another backup thing you can do that's really going to help you with this is, do you remember in the second, I said having a conversation with him and saying your bet paid off and here's what happened today? So why don't you create a little vision around that image of you having a conversation with him and really think about it. Like I'm talking about, set a timer every day to go off at the same time every day and take a full solid 60 seconds 3 minutes if you can do it, 1 minute to 3 minutes, and just visualize what would that look like? What would I say? What would happen that would make me go, here's what happened today, and tell him how excited I am? What would he say? he would say back, I always knew it, or I'm so happy to hear that, or what are you going to wear? Right? So what's the conversation that's going to go on between you two? And then what are you going to say back? You're going to say like, oh man, I just couldn't have done it without you. What's he going to say? Back and forth, back and forth. And where are you going to be sitting? Are you going to be in the house? Are you going to text him? Is he going to be off at a day job? Are you going to be calling him? Is it going to be physical in person when he gets home? How are you going to tell him? Milk that story and play that out, because what you're doing when you do that is you are making the unfamiliar familiar to your brain. You're living that scenario so much that your brain thinks it's real. Every time you think something, isn't that crazy? The brain does not know the difference between what's real and what's imagined. What that means, every single thought you have, your brain thinks it really happened. The brain doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's imagined. This is why when you're worrying, you're creating. Your brain thinks that's happening, but also when you're visioning, when you're thinking of a positive story, when you're thinking of a story that delights you and makes you feel good. So why do we do those little visions? We don't do them to make something happen, because when you do that, it automatically starts to make it a feel bad. If you do it to make something happen, then you've got that angst that why isn't it happening yet? Now that thing that was designed, that little vision, that 1 to 3 minute exercise that was designed to make you feel good becomes a feel bad. So do it to milk the good feelings from it. Do it to feel good. Imagine it so clearly. See it in your mind's eye. Close your eyes and think about it. What's he going to say? How's he going to look? What's the expression on his face going to be? What am I going to say back? Think about the feelings you're going to have in your body. How exciting is it going to be to say, this just happened and it's paid off. Your bet has paid off. And thank you for your support. Isn't that such a better feeling than the alternative, and then feeling bad and feeling guilty? He doesn't want that for you. You don't want that for you. The only way to make that shift is you have to think for yourself. You have to be a proactive thinker in your head. You know, we live in a culture, we care about the clothes we wear and the cars we drive and the houses we live in and the neighborhoods and the kids and the food we eat. Oh my gosh, do we care about the food we eat? I want you to care about the thoughts in your head. Just really start realizing like every single one of them matters, and milk those thoughts and milk that feeling of positive expectation, because nobody can think in your head but you. But I know you can do it, and you can start right now. That's the best part. Start feeling good. Start saying those positive phrases. Start noticing how you feel. Start thinking of positive words that make you feel better in any given moment, and start right today. And we'll see you next time on The Mind Aware.